And just like that, February is over. So I really wanted to start tackling my backlog when I got into February. So I looked through some games and I stumbled on Firewatch. I knew this game would be something I could power through in an evening or two. And while it might be a short title, it managed to capture the essence of a life that's fragmented but still trying to carry on. Firewatch follows the story of Henry, a man who's run away from the difficulties that have been presented in his life since his wife Julia developed Alzheimer's. He accepts a job out in the wilderness at Shoshone National Forest, keeping an eye out for fire development in the forest. The isolation he's looking for from the world, from his problems, are met by Delilah, and the game focuses in on this bond with Delilah, as you speak through a radio daily about life, work, decisions made, and the forest you're currently living in. This blossoms into an intimate friendship that feels weightless and secure as they know each other better each day. Later into the game, paranoia sets in as strange things begin happening around you with no straightforward answer and a mystery waiting to be solved. The art style of this game is stunning, with so much beauty stretching out as far as the eye can see, while still being able to create a lonely atmospheric location that matches the tone of those moments. The voice actors present in this game did a fantastic job of capturing this human connection so well in this short and sweet title. Windblown is that action-packed hack and slash roguelike from the devs that created Dead Cells. It's a fun and engaging game with a handful of weapons and trinkets to mess around with to find that build that works best for you. A small collection of locations to play around in this early access title. With the controls being easy to pick up, it doesn't take long to fall into the rhythm of combat as you dip and dive through a healthy amount of immunity frames before unleashing damage of your own, as the music fuels the energy of this chaotic gameplay. While at the moment it might not have the grandest amount of content, if it receives a sliver of what Dead Cells received in terms of support once it fully releases, then this game's going to have some solid content for people to enjoy. I was really hoping to enjoy Star Wars Bounty Hunter more than I ended up doing. I felt like I had to fight to enjoy it, which isn't something I'm really a fan of when it comes to games. I'll endure a low point in a game to get to the highs, but I just felt like Bounty Hunter was kind of boring. Maybe it's because I'm not as big a Star Wars fan as I used to be, or maybe it's the controls and the camera, but at each turn it felt like on a gameplay front, it wasn't for me. The premise of playing as Jango Fett and using his iconic jetpack and floating around while tracking down bounties was fun and something I thought I'd enjoy, but in the end the game ended up feeling like a disappointment. Just to be clear, I feel like it's on me, as I've just become more accustomed to modern controls in games, and I have no nostalgia for Bounty Hunter, so I set myself up for this reality check. If you absolutely love Star Wars or this game in particular, then I believe you'll have an incredible time. I don't wish to say anything too much about Final Fantasy XVI, as 1, I'm still not finished with it, and 2, I'm already writing up stuff for a video that I plan to release. The combat is fluid and offers an experimental experience when choosing how you wish to tackle combat. The music and the art direction during peak moments is incredible to experience, leaving me with goosebumps most of the time. This game has 100% earned my time and attention, and I look forward to posting a video about it whenever that might actually be. So, I have only played Wayfinder for a few hours, and in the grand scheme of things that isn't very long, but in the short time I've dabbled, I found plenty of things that I enjoyed, and very little that I didn't like. Long story short, a beacon's light source goes out, and a flood of monsters appear from within. While a team goes in to reignite the light, a handful perish during the reigniting, and years later you're reformed within the gloom and fight your way out as you're reincarnated and become a Wayfinder. Wayfinders traverse the gloom to fend off enemies and overall fight to restore the world to what it once was. The story wasn't something that really gripped me, but the combat of 1v many styles had me focused in on what my skills did, mine and enemy positioning, and what loot I could pull from missions and chests. I like the art style as it's simple and not hyper detailed, which is done to death nowadays, so this was a breath of fresh air for me. Like I said, I haven't played it a great deal to have an impactful opinion, but I found it to be fun, and that's kind of what you want for games, so I'm expecting to put more hours into it. I continued with playing Wildlands, as I really got stuck into the loop of dismantling the cartel one person at a time. I even finished the base game, and while I still have some cleanup stuff for achievements to do before I tackle the 2 DLCs, it was a really fun time. I don't think I'll do a full video on it, as it became that game I kind of just sat down and chilled with. But nevertheless, it was a fantastic game and sucked up a good amount of my free time. Game Dev Story is the type of game that you boot up, learn the gist of it, and realise 5 hours have gone by and you didn't even notice. As you start off as a humble employer, hiring a working duo to create the greatest game you can within your budget and expertise, over the years games hit the shelves to be scored by critics and consumers alike. Console generations come and go over time, and your legacy is cemented through the games you create. Hire and fire staff, accomplish new heights of success as you expand and grow your team to be the game developing powerhouse. Basically, this game is you figure out what genres go with what type of games, what platforms you want it on, and you just run with it and see the money roll in or businesses go bust. It's very Moorish, as I just wanted to make a new game after the last and seeing if I could win the Game of the Year award or get some solid scores from critics. Game Dev Story looks lackluster, but it was a game I struggled to put down the first time I even played. Now, horror games aren't something I run out to get unless it's something I've been hyped to play for a long time. But Soma, after all these years, stood out as one of the more interesting horror stories that I've ever experienced, and unknowingly became the standard I will measure future horror titles against. Soma has so much to offer in terms of dark and cold atmospheric locations that's trapped deep under the sea, with mutated people, robots, and sea creatures roaming around. You use your environment to the best of your ability to remain undetected as you make your way through Pathos 2. You play as Simon Jarrett, a man who suffered an accident that led to him getting his brain copied so they could run experiments and digitize his brain. But after the scan, he wakes up in a new location years into the future. After meeting Catherine, they both set out to get themselves on the Ark. I loved the dynamic between Simon and Catherine, as they have real conversations between moments of traversal. They comfort each other in the pursuit of finding the Ark and finally sending it off into space to start a new life. They challenge each other on morals that they don't see eye to eye on, and slip into human emotions that seem so alien when you realise that neither of them are human at all. Soma welcomed me with a steady stream of tense moments that had me constantly double checking rooms and shadows from my own safety, and left me with a constant reminder of how difficult it can be for the mind to see reality for what it is, when it's so blinded by a dream that it'll never reach. And those are the games I played in February. I tried out a few new games, continued with unfinished ones, and mixed it up so it wasn't all the same style of play. Now, you've just listened to me ramble on about all this, so it's only fair that I ask, what did you play during February? Better yet, what did you play during January? I completely forgot to ask. If you remember, obviously. Let me know in the comments. Now, if you will excuse me, I need to go prepare myself for what is likely to be my game of the year. Anyway, I hope you have a lovely day and or evening, and I'll catch you next time.